Do you suspect that you have a vitamin D deficiency, or you've been taking vitamin D for a while, but you're not sure if the dose you've been taking is actually effective? Well, in this video, I go into my personal vitamin D labs. I share with you the dose that I've been taking as well as my lifestyle and how I'm going to optimize my levels even further. Hi, I'm David, and I help people reclaim their lives from brain fog, chronic fatigue, and low self-esteem. The importance of vitamin D cannot be overstated. If you're having troubles with your thyroid, blood sugar regulation, low testosterone, hair loss, or energy levels, you absolutely need to look into your vitamin D levels. The goal of this video is I'm going to go into my actual vitamin D labs, but I'm also going to share my lifestyle, and then I'm also going to share how much vitamin D I've been taking, just to give you a really complete picture of how all these things come together and then result in a certain vitamin D level. And the idea there is that you'll hopefully be able to see a little bit of yourself either in my lifestyle or in the way that I'm approaching supplementation, and it'll give you a better sense of what your vitamin D levels might be. So some signs that you may have a vitamin D deficiency include depression, lethargy, muscle pain, loss of bone mass, low testosterone or the symptoms of low testosterone, chronic fatigue, brain fog, and hair loss. Okay, so that's just a few of them. There's definitely more, but that's the general idea. Also, if you don't consume oily fish or dairy products, definitely worth looking into your vitamin D levels. And then lastly, if you live in an environment where you don't get a lot of sunlight, and then also take a look at your lifestyle. So you may live in a warm climate where it's sunny, but you're not exposing yourself to sun, or you're not exposing your skin to sun for 20 minutes a day. So this is oftentimes a trap where people think that they live in a warm climate, but in reality, they're spending most of their time indoors. So in terms of dosing, I would recommend that most people consume 35 IU per pound of body weight. So that'll amount to about 4,000 to 5,000 IU for most adults during the winter, and then a little bit less during the summer, depending on your lifestyle. I'm going to do a deep dive into vitamin D and its link to brain fog and chronic fatigue, but as a general rule of thumb, you should just calculate 35 IU per pound of body weight. So just a quick poll that you can put in the comments below. Tell me, which vitamin D brand have you been taking? How much have you been taking? And how do you feel? So before we get into labs, I want to share a little bit about my lifestyle and my environment, just to provide you some helpful context that will hopefully explain why my levels are the way they are, and maybe you can see a little bit of yourself in me, and then that'll help you contextualize my results and hopefully give you a sense of like what you should expect once you run your own labs. Okay, so firstly, I live in New York City in the concrete jungle, and so that obviously plays a huge role in my vitamin D levels. The weather here is, for 6 months out of the year, it's relatively dark and I'm not getting a lot of sunlight. And if I am, it's too cold to expose my skin to that sunlight. I mostly work from home. So, like many of us, I am working from my apartment. And then before, I was in an office building for a lot of the day. So once again, that's going to impact how much vitamin D I'm getting on a regular basis. Now, I would say I get outside 1 to 2 hours a day. I try and go out, around lunchtime, and then also, especially during the summers, in the early evening for a walk, usually when it's still sunny out. And then whenever I can, I also try and work out outside. So usually 4 months a year, I'm working out outside. And on the weekends, I am walking outside quite a bit. So I try and go on long walks throughout the day, exploring the city, or even getting on a bike or something like that. In terms of my supplementation, what I've been doing is 5,000 IU 3 to 4 times a week. So I do it every other day, the days that I'm taking my methylation support. So if you look at my MTHFR supplement routine, you'll notice that my vitamin D is actually in that video as well. And that's some advice that I got from a coach that I worked with about 1.5 years ago. And the specific supplement that I take, it contains vitamin D3, which is the more bioavailable form, and it's the form that I recommend that you take, as well as K2, which helps with the absorption. Specifically, this vitamin D3 supplement, which is from Sports Research, has coconut oil in it. And vitamin D3 is a fat-soluble vitamin. So any any vitamin that has IU behind it, or it's measured in terms of IU, then that one is going to be fat soluble. So this is great if you have like a morning smoothie like I do in the morning and there's not a lot of fat in it. So having that coconut oil just makes it that much easier because you don't have to remember to like put in coconut oil into your smoothie. If you choose another brand that doesn't have coconut oil or some way of helping you absorb the vitamin D3 and K2, I highly recommend making sure you have kind of a meal with some fat. So some eggs would work, or just having some coconut oil or olive oil with whatever you're having. So it's going to be extremely helpful. And in terms of diet, this conversation wouldn't be complete without diet. I follow kind of a flexitarian diet. So this would be somewhere between like 40 to 60% of my meals are going to be plant-based. And so that's like plant-based minus dairy. I don't consume dairy products at all. And then the rest of the time, I'm going to be having animal protein, usually in the form of chicken and beef, because I don't eat seafood as a result of my MTHFR gene mutation. So I'm not getting the vitamin D from the seafood. I also don't get it from dairy products because I don't consume those either. All right, so here are my vitamin D labs. I used a company called OmegaQuant, which has been really convenient. They send you the lab right to your doorstep. You just, go ahead and give a few drops of blood, send it back, and I got my results within 5 days, which is pretty impressive. So I highly recommend them, and I left a link in the description below so you can go ahead and do this exact lab for yourself. It's only $70, and this is extremely helpful information to optimize your health. Okay, so just as a bit of background here, these reference ranges are not going to be very helpful to you though. Neither is this one, the desirable. So this is using the conventional medicine kind of established markers. So here, these levels are sufficient, but they are not optimal. The optimal levels from a functional medicine perspective are going to be 50 to 70 nanograms per milliliter. So you're going to want to be kind of somewhere over here to over here, okay? A lot of Americans are probably going to be in this like 20 to 30 range, and especially if you're in the 30s, you're going to be in like that subclinical range, because a lot of conventional medical doctors are going to just say, oh, well, you're like 35 or something like that, or 25, it's not that bad, right? And that's when you're going to be feeling the fatigue, maybe the muscle pain, the lack of clarity, all that kind of stuff. That's just the kind of malaise. You're not going to be feeling great or full of vitality. And you're probably going to be in this like yellow range. So for me, I'm at a 43.5 given the fact that I supplement. So to me, what that indicates is that I'm not supplementing enough, or I need to do one of two things. So I could increase my dosage by just adding one more 5,000 IU capsule per week. And then in addition, I want to optimize my absorption. So I might add some more coconut oil, like just, a teaspoon of coconut oil to my smoothie. And that way, not only am I increasing the dose, but I am also increasing the amount that I am absorbing into the bloodstream, right? So that's going to be really helpful. Additionally, this may tell me that I need to find a way to tan or get outside on a regular basis. Maybe I want to optimize my lifestyle. But if that's not possible, if I really can't get out in nature into the sun, or it's been a very gloomy winter, for example, then at the very least, I can optimize my absorption, and I could also optimize my supplementation. So here I'm at a pretty good level by most standards. I'm actually decent, but I could really optimize. Hey there. So I hope that was illuminating to look at my labs and see that even in June, I had slightly suboptimal vitamin D levels, even with some lifestyle interventions and supplementation. So like I mentioned earlier, I kind of have an action plan, and my goal is to get to about 55 to 65 nanograms per milliliter. And I'm probably going to retest in the fall, most likely. So I'm going to make those changes. And then going into the winter, I want to know where I stand with my vitamin D so that I can optimize even further, because that's when you kind of get into the dangerous territory, of course, with the vitamin D, since especially me in New York City, I'm not going to be getting a lot of that sun exposure that I would if I lived somewhere warmer. So just checking in, what are your levels if you've been tested? Go ahead and leave those in the comments below. If you haven't been tested yet, just let me know if there's any additional questions that you have about the vitamin D labs that I just showed. All right, that's it for today's video. I really hope it gave you a sense for how lifestyle, environmental factors, bioindividuality, and supplementation all come together to produce a certain result in your body. I really wanted the rubber to meet the road on this one, rather than just kind of giving you theoretical facts or what most people should do. I wanted to really bring it to life for you. And if you have any questions, anything that I wasn't able to answer in my lab, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. If you want more videos like this, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more updates on how to optimize your mind, body, and emotions. I really look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye.